Hey, hey, hey. Time for an out-of-this-world story from rSpace. The pinnacle of womanhood, abandoning your kid at school and dating someone who probably spells custody with a K. Today on rSpace, a cheater who really took the hot girl summer thing and stretched it into a full-blown feral mom fiscal year. Wife's one mistake cost her everything. I walked away with the house, the friends, and her affair partner's devastated wife. I'm a 35-year-old guy, been married to my wife, who's 32, for 7 years. We've got a 6-year-old daughter, Emily, who's the best thing in my life. We met in our 20s, back when we'd stay out late, go on random road trips, and just live without a care. Having a kid changed that, obviously, but I figured we were both on board with being parents. Turns out, I was wrong. Things started shifting about a year ago. She stopped caring about what I had to say. I'd come home, try to talk about my day, and she'd just stare at her phone, scrolling and texting, not even pretending to listen. It wasn't just me. She was dropping the ball with Emily, too. I'd get calls from the school saying Emily didn't have lunch because her mom forgot to pack it. One time, Emily came home hungry because nobody made her breakfast. I asked her mom what was going on, and she just shrugged. She said she was busy. Busy doing what? Giggling at her phone like a teenager? She'd made these new friends, a group of women who were all about bars and clubs. They were in their late 20s, early 30s, always dressed like they were headed to a concert, with piercings everywhere and loud attitudes. I didn't care that she had friends, but these women were trouble. They'd egg her on to go out drinking, stay out till 2 a.m., and act like she didn't have a kid waiting at home. I'd remind her she couldn't just bail on Emily, and she'd sulk, acting like I was the bad guy for expecting her to be a mom. It got old fast. One night, she came home tipsy, her eyes glassy, and said she had something to show me. She pulled her hair back and pointed to a new tongue piercing, this shiny little stud glinting under the kitchen light. I was floored. We'd always talked about big decisions like that, tattoos, piercings, anything permanent. I wasn't a fan of piercings, but it wasn't about the stud itself. It was that she didn't even think to mention it. I told her it was a problem she went behind my back. She rolled her eyes and said, "It's my body, I don't need your permission." I said marriage doesn't work like that. We're supposed to be a team. She got defensive, said her friends all got piercings that night and it was spontaneous. I knew these women were behind it. I asked why she was so obsessed with acting like them, and she snapped, saying I was boring and controlling. The argument fizzled out, but it left a bad taste. I let it go, figuring it wasn't worth blowing up our marriage over a piece of metal. Fast forward, things got worse. She was out more, coming home late, sometimes not at all. She'd crash at one of her friends' places, claiming she was too tired to drive. Emily started noticing. She'd ask why mommy wasn't home to tuck her in, and I'd have to make up excuses. I was getting fed up, but I tried to keep things calm for Emily's sake. Then came the day that broke me. I got a call from Emily's school. Her mom was supposed to pick her up at 3 p.m., but it was 4:30, and Emily was still waiting. I rushed over, found my daughter sitting on a bench outside the school, her backpack next to her, looking small and confused. The teacher said they'd tried calling her mom, but no answer. I took Emily home, got her settled, and waited. When her mom finally showed up, it was past 7 p.m. She texted some half-baked excuse about losing track of time with her friends. I was done. That night, after Emily was asleep, I laid into her. I didn't yell, but I didn't hold back either. I said she was failing as a mom, that forgetting her own kid was unacceptable. I told her she needed to get her act together because Emily deserved better. She started crying, which I expected, but then she said something that floored me. She said she was tired of being just a mom. She wanted to feel like a real woman again, someone who had fun and lived her life. I told her nobody was stopping her from having a life, but Emily came first. We chose to have a kid, and that meant pulling her needs above everything else. She wasn't listening. She said she was sick of being my wife, that I was too strict, that we weren't fun anymore. I couldn't believe it. We weren't fun because we had a 6-year-old. We couldn't just hop in the car and drive to another state for the weekend anymore. Emily had school, routines, a life. But we still went out sometimes, got babysitters, made time for each other. If she wanted more, we could have talked about it. Apparently, she had other plans. She shook her head and said it was too late. Then she hit me with it. She'd been seeing someone else for a few months. Some guy who made her feel alive again, like she did back when we were dating. I just sat there, trying to process it. She was cheating on me? She kept talking, her voice shaky, saying she wanted a divorce. I didn't say anything for a while. My head was spinning. When I could finally think straight, I asked who the guy was. She said his name was Jake, the guy who did her piercing at some sketchy shop her friends loved. She'd gotten his number, they started texting, and it turned into a full-blown affair. Physical and emotional, her words. I told her that was a fancy way of saying she betrayed me. She tried to touch my arm, like that would make it better, but I pulled away and told her to get out. If she was done with me, she didn't need to be in my house another second. She didn't leave right away. She said we needed to talk about Emily. I asked if she was serious. After neglecting her, she thought I'd let Emily go with her? I said Emily was staying with me until a court said otherwise. She frowned and said she was Emily's mom. I didn't care. I said she was barely a mom, that she probably forgot Emily at school because she was too busy with Jake. I told her I wouldn't let my daughter stay with some random guy I'd never met, especially when she was already slacking as a parent. She kept arguing, but I wasn't budging. I said if she tried to take Emily, I'd call the cops. I meant it, and she could tell. She mumbled something about coming back to see Emily the next day and left. The next afternoon, she showed up, but not alone. A beat-up van pulled into the driveway and she got out. The guy in the driver's seat stayed put, but I could see him through the window. Jake. She didn't mention him, and I didn't ask. She came inside, sat with Emily, and told her we weren't living together anymore because sometimes grown-ups need to live apart. She said we both loved her, but Emily just looked confused. What she didn't know was that Emily had cried for an hour that morning asking why Mom left. It took promising she'd see her mom later to calm her down. Watching my daughter try to make sense of it was brutal. When it was time for her to leave, she said he was taking Emily with her. I reminded her what I said the night before. She nodded and said she brought Jake so I could meet him. I told her I had zero interest in meeting a guy she cheated with, and he wasn't going anywhere near my kid. We were arguing by the front door now, and Jake got out of the van. He walked up and said, "Is there a problem?" I said there'd be a problem if they thought they could take Emily. I got a good look at him, and it pissed me off that she thought this guy was better than me. He was tall, scruffy, wearing a stained jacket and ripped jeans. His arms and neck were covered in tattoos, some of them crude, like cartoonish women in bikinis. His hair was greasy, and he smelled like a stale cigarette. Right away, I knew I didn't want him around Emily. He said she had maternal rights and could take Emily if she wanted. I told him that wasn't a thing. Parents have equal rights, and I was keeping my daughter. I said this was a family matter, and if he came any closer, I'd call the police. He looked mad, like he wasn't used to being told no, but he backed off. I'm guessing he didn't want the cops involved, probably because of some trouble in his past. He muttered something to her, and they left. I stood there, watching the van peel out, feeling like my whole life was falling apart. After that, she came back to see Emily a few times, usually alone. If Jake was with her, he stayed in the van, let her visit, but only at the house, and I was always there. Her visits were hit or miss. Sometimes she'd show up, play with Emily for an hour and leave. Other times, she'd cancel last minute, saying she was sick or had plans. Emily started asking why her mom kept bailing. She used to be this bubbly kid, always drawing pictures and singing to herself, but now she was quiet, like she was carrying something heavy. It killed me to see her like that. I tried to cheer her up, take her out for ice cream, watch her favorite cartoons, but it only worked for a bit before she'd go back to being silent. I digress, but I started noticing things weren't adding up. She'd always been glued to her phone, but now she was secretive about it, turning the screen away if I was nearby. One night after she passed out on the couch, I checked her phone. We'd always had each other's passcodes, so it wasn't hard. What I found made my stomach turn. Texts with Jake, going back months. They weren't just flirty, they were explicit. She'd been meeting him during the day, sometimes when she was supposed to be with Emily. There were messages about how she couldn't wait to leave, and how Jake made her feel free. I took screenshots and sent them to myself. I wasn't sure what I'd do with them, but I wasn't going to let her play with me for a fool. I started keeping track of everything. Every time she was late picking up Emily, every missed visit, every excuse. I saved a text where she admitted to forgetting things, like when she left Emily without lunch. I even got a statement from Emily's teacher about the pickup incident. I wasn't messing around. I wanted to be ready if this went to court. I wasn't going to let her take Emily to live with some shady guy in a van. My daughter deserved better than that. People around us started noticing too. Neighbors, friends, even the parents at Emily's school. They'd seen her out at bars, acting like she didn't have a care in the world. One mom from Emily's class pulled me aside and said she'd seen her at a club dancing with some guy who looked like bad news. I didn't need to guess who it was. People were starting to talk, and it wasn't in her favor. They'd ask how Emily was doing, offer to help, and it hit me that they were on my side. It didn't make things easier, but it felt good to know I wasn't alone. Fast forward, I hired a private investigator. The PI didn't take long to dig up dirt. Jake had a history, bar fights, a couple of arrests for drunk driving, and some shady connections to people who weren't exactly upstanding. The guy was trouble, and she was choosing him over her own kid. I wasn't surprised, but it still stung. I gave the PI's report to my lawyer, who said it'd be gold if we ended up fighting for custody. Her visits kept getting flakier. She'd promise Emily she'd come, then bail with no explanation. One time, Emily waited by the door for an hour, clutching a picture she'd drawn for her mom. When she didn't show, Emily just put the picture down and went to her room. She didn't cry, which was worse. I called her mom, left voicemails, texted, but got nothing. I was furious, but more than that, I was done. I'm at the point where I can't deal with this anymore. She destroyed our family because she wanted to relive her 20s. I hate what she's done to me, but I hate what she's done to Emily even more. My daughter doesn't deserve this. She's 6, and she's already dealing with a mom who can't be bothered to show up. I'm fighting for full custody, no question. I don't trust Jake, and I don't trust her. I know some people might say I'm being harsh, but I don't care. Emily's my priority, and I'll do whatever it takes to keep her safe. Anyone got any advice on how to handle this? How do I help Emily through it when her mom keeps letting her down? The whole "I want to feel like a real woman again" bit is such a slap in the face when you've been the one holding everything down for her and your daughter. And bringing Jake, the piercing dude, around like this is some kind of after-school special about new beginnings is just tone deaf. You're not crazy. You're not overreacting. You're a dad who's been forced to solo parent. Update. Thanks to everyone who commented on my first post. I got some heat for my stance on piercings, and yeah, I don't love them. I'm not saying someone with a piercing is a bad person. It's just not my thing. But when I saw the kind of stuff Jake had going on, it didn't exactly scream role model for my kid. Judge me if you want. I'm just trying to protect Emily. Anyway, let's get to what happened since. After she left, things moved fast with the divorce. She kept saying she didn't want to drag it to court, that we could just sit down with a mediator and sort it out. She said she didn't want much, just some stuff from the house, and that we should keep things friendly since we'd be co-parenting Emily. I shut that down quick. Co-parenting? No way. I didn't trust her to show up for Emily half the time, and I wasn't about to let my daughter spend time around Jake. She tried to convince me they'd take care of her, but I wasn't hearing it. My mind was made up. Emily was staying with me. She didn't take that well. She got pissed, said I had no right to keep Emily from her, that she was her mom and she'd fight for her. I told her to go for it. She hired some cheap lawyer who looked like he was fresh out of law school, while I got the best one I could afford. I had been saving everything. Texts where she admitted to forgetting Emily's lunch for pickup, emails where she canceled visits last minute, even a signed letter from Emily's teacher saying she was late or a no-show too many times to count. I handed it all to my lawyer and said, "Make this count." I digress, but I also told my lawyer about Jake. My lawyer had someone dig into his past, and it didn't take long to find dirt. Jake had a rap sheet longer than my arm, drunk driving, a bar fight that landed him in jail for a night, and a drug possession charge from just a couple of years ago. I was stunned he was even walking around free. It made my skin crawl thinking my daughter could have been around him. My lawyer said that this is a slam dunk for us. No judge would let a kid live in a place with someone like that, especially since she was living with him. Fast forward, we went to court. I brought all my evidence, and my lawyer laid it out like a prosecutor. The texts, the teacher's statement, Jake's criminal record. It was a mountain of proof. The social worker who visited their place didn't help their case either. She said Jake's apartment was a dump, small and cluttered. The building was run down, with sketchy types hanging around outside. She tried to argue that Jake was different now, that he was clean and a good influence. But his last arrest wasn't that long ago, and she had nothing to back up her claims. The judge wasn't buying it. In the end, I got full custody. The judge said it was clear I was the better parent, both in terms of stability and actually showing up for Emily. She got weekly supervised visits, 1 hour at a community center, and the court said they'd review it later. She stormed out, yelling about appealing, but I didn't think she'd follow through. Either she didn't have the money for a real lawyer, or she just didn't care enough. Knowing how she'd been acting, I'd bet on the latter. At first, she showed up for the visits. She'd come alone, no Jake, which was good because I would have raised hell if he was there. She'd play with Emily, draw with her, talk about school. It seemed to help Emily start smiling more, acting like her old self, giggling and showing off her drawings. I hated her, but seeing Emily happy was worth it. I thought maybe she was getting her act together. But then the visits started slipping. One week, she said she was sick and couldn't make it. The next, she had some vague excuse about being busy. After that, she just stopped showing up. No calls, no texts, nothing. Emily went back to being quiet, like she was before. She'd sit by the window during her visit time, waiting, and when nobody came, she'd just go to her room. I didn't want to deal with her, but Emily needed her mom. I tried calling, left voicemails, sent texts. No response. I even drove to Jake's apartment one day, banged on the door for a good 5 minutes. Nobody answered. I was ready to wait them out, sit in my car all day if I had to, just to get some answers. Before I could, an older lady from the next apartment poked her head out and asked if I was looking for them. I said yeah, and she told me they'd left town. Apparently, they took off with some friends for a road trip to Vegas. I was floored. She just bailed without telling me? Not even a heads up that she'd miss her visits? Emily was at home wondering why her mom didn't want her anymore, and she was off partying like she didn't have a kid. That was it for me. I called my lawyer and told him everything. We reported the missing visits, added them to the pile of evidence showing she was neglecting Emily. We argued she was emotionally unavailable and unfit to have unsupervised time with her. The court agreed and cut her down to one supervised visit a week, still at the community center. I wasn't surprised, but I was pissed she kept proving me right. When she got back, she was furious about the new rules. One afternoon, she and Jake showed up at my house, hammering on the door, yelling for me to come out. I looked out from an upstairs window. They were both stumbling, clearly drunk. Jake was shouting about how I couldn't keep Emily from them, and she was screaming that I was ruining her life. I was glad Emily wasn't home. She was at my parents' for the weekend. I wasn't about to open the door, especially with Jake acting like he wanted to fight. I grabbed my phone, started recording, and called the cops. The police got there fast. They found Jake with a knife in his pocket. He swore he always carried it, said he wasn't going to use it, but nobody bought that. He was slurring his words, reeking with booze, and had a history of violence. She wasn't much better, swaying and yelling at the cops to leave them alone. My video showed them banging on the door, Jake kicking the mailbox over, and her throwing a beer bottle at the garage, shattering a window. The cops asked if I wanted to press charges. Hell yes, I did. They were both arrested. Her for vandalism and public intoxication, him for that, plus the knife and driving drunk. My lawyer said Jake's in deep trouble. With his record, this could be a third strike, and he might be looking at serious time. She'll probably get off lighter, but she's still got charges to deal with. The cops took my statement, watched the video, and said I did the right thing. I made sure they knew about Jake's history just to seal the deal. I didn't tell Emily her mom got arrested. She's too young for that. I just said her mom wasn't feeling well and had to go somewhere to get better. I told her she'd see her again when she was ready. She didn't cry or ask questions, just nodded like it was normal for her mom to disappear. That hurt worse than anything. She's 6, and she's already used to being let down. I'm doing what I can to keep Emily steady. I spend every free moment with her, playing games, helping with her drawings, just being there. When I'm swamped, my parents step in, and they're great with her. We started this thing where every Saturday we get pizza and play board games. She loves Clue, and it's the one time she really lights up, laughing when she beats me. She's not back to her old self, but she's getting there, and I'm not pushing her. I never wanted my marriage to end like this, and I hate that Emily's caught in the middle. But I didn't choose this. She did. All I can do is protect my daughter, and I'm giving it everything I've got. I hope she realizes what she threw away for some guy and a life that's already falling apart. Any advice on helping? You did the right thing every step of the way, OP. It's totally gutting reading about Emily waiting by the window. She's lucky to have you, and it's obvious she feels safe with you. That steady presence, those Saturday board games, the pizza nights, those little rituals mean more than you probably realize. They help rebuild trust, even if she doesn't have the words for it yet. Honestly, you're already doing the most important part, showing up. Keep routines consistent. Keep giving her space to talk if she wants to. She's processing things in her own time. You've fought for your daughter, protected her, and built her a safe, loving home. You're the kind of parent every kid deserves. Final update. Alright, here's the second update on everything that's gone down. Thanks to everyone who gave advice on my last post. It's been a rough ride, but I'm doing my best. A lot of you asked for updates, so let's dive in. After the arrests, things got messy fast. She and Jake were facing charges for vandalism and public intoxication, but his situation was worse because of the knife and driving drunk. My lawyer said with his record, it was bad news for him. Sure enough, the court didn't go easy. He got slapped with 3 years in prison, vandalism, illegal weapon possession, and violating probation for his earlier charges. The judge called him a repeat offender and said he was a danger to the community. I wasn't surprised, but hearing it laid out like that felt final. He's gone for now, and I'm glad Emily won't be anywhere near him. She didn't get off as bad, but She didn't walk away clean either. She was charged with vandalism and public intoxication, got a fine, and was put on probation for a year. My lawyer said the criminal record will follow her, and it's already biting her. I pressed charges without hesitation. Nobody gets to trash my house and threaten me, especially not after everything she's done. I don't care if that makes me the bad guy to some people. You all can F off. To everyone who offered advice and support, thank you so much. Fast forward, the divorce wrapped up. I kept the house, no contest. She didn't have the money or energy to fight for it, and honestly, I don't think she cared. People we knew, neighbors, friends from Emily's school, even some of her old friends, started pulling away from her. They'd heard about the arrests, saw her spiraling, and didn't want to be associated. One of Emily's friends' moms told me she'd seen her at the bar, drunk and arguing with some random guy, looking like she hadn't slept in days. People started reaching out to me instead, offering to help with Emily or just checking in. It wasn't like I won a popularity contest, but it showed me who's actually got my back. Then I got a call from a woman, let's call her Sarah, who said she was Jake's wife. I didn't even know he was married. She's 38, runs a small bakery in town, and has 2 kids, 8 and 10. She told me she had no idea about the affair until the arrests hit the local news. Apparently Jake had been lying to her for months, saying he was working late or out with friends while he was with my ex. He drained their savings for the Vegas trip, leaving her and the kids high and dry. She was pissed, but more than that, she was hurt. We met up at a coffee shop to talk. She brought bank statements showing how Jake had been blowing their money on bars and hotels. It was eye-opening, and we clicked over how we'd both been screwed over. She offered to help if I needed anything for the custody case, but I told her I'd do the same for her. I digress, but Sarah's info was a game changer. She gave a statement to my lawyer about Jake's history, lying, stealing money, abandoning his own kids. We used it in court to push for stricter limits on my ex's visitation. Combined with the missed visits, the arrests, and her probation, it was enough. The judge revoked her visitation rights completely. I got sole custody, and she's barred from seeing Emily until she completes a parenting course and proves she's stable, which I doubt she'll do. She's too deep in her mess. Emily was sad when I told her she wouldn't see her mom for a while, but she also seemed relieved, like she was tired of the letdowns. I got her into art therapy to help her process it, and it's starting to make a difference. After Jake's sentencing, my ex fell apart. Without him, she couldn't afford his apartment. She moved in with one of her party friends, but that didn't last. I heard from a neighbor that she got kicked out after a fight, and now she's couch surfing somewhere. She's still drinking, still chasing that free life she wanted, but it's costing her everything. Her old friends don't want her around anymore, and she's got no money, no place of her own, and a record to deal with. I don't feel sorry for her. She chose this. Sarah's been a surprise through all of this. She's tough, pulling herself together for her kids. She filed for divorce and got her own place. We've stayed in touch, mostly about the legal stuff, but also because our kids get along. Emily loves playing with her kids, and it's good to see her happy. Sarah even came to Emily's birthday party last month. It wasn't anything big, just some kids from school, a cake, and a bounce house in the backyard. But Emily was beaming, running around with Sarah's kids like nothing else mattered. I'm not saying life's perfect. Emily's still got moments where she's quiet, where I can tell she's thinking about her mom. But she's drawing again, laughing more, and starting to trust that I'm not going anywhere. We've got our Saturday game nights, and she's obsessed with beating me at Clue. I let her win sometimes, but don't tell her that. As for my ex, she wanted to be free, but all she's got now is a rap sheet and a life that's crumbling. I hope she sees what she lost, her daughter, her home, her people, for a guy who's locked up and a fantasy that was never real. I'm not dwelling on it though. I've got Emily, a solid crew of supporters, and even a new friend in Sarah who gets what I've been through. That's more than enough for me. Jake getting locked up? Long overdue. Your ex? She made her choices. It sucks that she couldn't see what she had before it all fell apart, but like you said, no one gets to tear through your life and your home just to walk away. You don't need to look back anymore. You've got good people in your corner, and a little girl who knows her dad's a dang hero. Keep your head up and keep crushing, OP. Why do you think people throw everything away, family, stability, their own kid, for someone who clearly isn't worth it? Share your thoughts with us in the comments below. And thank you for joining us today on rSpace. Be sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on our next video. Until next time.